Ah, ah. Do you like cooking alone or do you prefer cooking with others? Why? Answer. Personally, I prefer cooking with others rather than cooking alone. When I cook with friends or family, it feels more fun because we can chat, laugh, and share the work. Also, I get to know new recipes or tips from others, which helps me improve my cooking skills. Of course, sometimes I enjoy cooking alone when I need some quiet time, but in general, I love the social part of cooking with others. Do you like reading books? What kinds of books do you usually read? When and where do you usually read them? Please give me as many details as possible. Yes, I enjoy reading books, especially in my free time. Reading has been one of my favorite habits since I was a student. I also read non-fiction books, especially ones about self-development and psychology. I find them very practical and inspiring because they give me new perspectives on life. I normally read at night before going to bed. It helps me relax and forget about my busy day. Reading is not only entertaining but also helps me grow as a person. That's why I've tried to make time for it no matter how busy I get. Please tell me about the most memorable book that you have read. What genre is it? What is the book about? Why is it unforgettable? The most memorable book I've ever read is The Alchemist by Paul Chekhov. It's a novel that falls into the genre of philosophical fiction. The book tells the story of a shepherd boy named Santiago who goes on a journey to find his personal treasure. What made this book unforgettable for me was its message. If you truly want something, the universe will help you achieve it. This inspired me to be more confident and pursue my own goals in life. I still think about this book whenever I face challenges. It feels like a reminder to never give up on my dream. You indicated in the survey that you go to a fitness club. Tell me about the fitness club you go to. Where is it located? What does it look like? Describe it in as much detail as possible. The answer. The fitness club I go to is located just 10 minutes away from my apartment. Such a really convenient for me. The gym is quiet, spacious and modern. As soon as you walk in, you see a reception desk and a lounge area where people can relax. Inside there are lots of treadmills and bikes, a free weight section and even a separate studio for yoga and Pilates classes. Overall, it's a place that motivates me to stay active and healthy. I feel lucky to have such a nice gym close to my home. People must prepare before they travel. What do you do to prepare for travel? Do you research in advance or make reservations? What special things do you do? What special things do you do? The answer. Before I travel, I usually make a checklist to stay organized. I don't want to forget anything important. First, I research the destination online and read travel blogs to find hidden spots and good restaurants. I also pack depending on the weather. For example, if I'm going to a beach, I will bring sunscreen, swimsuits, and flip-flops. One special thing I do is download offline maps and playlists, so I can enjoy the trip without worrying about internet access. Tell me about one of your most memorable business trips. When was it and where did you go? What happened? What made it so memorable? The answer. One of the most memorable business trips I had was to Singapore about 2 years ago for an international conference. The conference itself was great, but what made it really memorable was the networking opportunities. I got to meet professionals from all over the world. and even exchanged contacts with a potential business partner. That trip taught me to always prepare a backup plan. It was stressful at first, but it turned into a valuable learning experience that boosted my confidence. Why do you think people need vacations? What purposes do you think vacations have for different people? I think vacations are absolutely necessary because they allow people to recharge both mentally and physically. For some people, vacations are about relaxation, like lying on the beach or sleeping in. For others, it's about adventure, such as hiking, traveling abroad, or trying new activities. Families often use vacations to spend quality time together, while younger people might see them as a chance to meet new people and broaden their horizons. How are the responsibilities divided among family members in your household? What tasks do you usually do? Is this system fair, or do you think it should be changed? In my household, chores are divided fairly depending on each person's schedule and ability. For example, I usually take care of cleaning my room and doing the dishes after dinner. My mom handles most of the cooking while my dad takes care of heavier tasks like fixing things around the house or carrying groceries. I think this system is fair because everyone contributes in their own way. It helps keep the house running smoothly without putting too much pressure on one person. Aberration, a departure from what is normal or expected, capricious, impulsive, unpredictable, delineate, to describe or define precisely, egregious, outstanding bad, shocking, intransigent, unwilling to compromise, obfuscate, to make something unclear or confusing, parsimonious, excessively frugal or stingy, reconcile, to bring into harmony, to reserve, texton, reserved saying little, ubiquitous, present everywhere. Alacrity, cheerful readiness or eagerness to act. Ambivalent, having mixed or contradictory feelings about something or someone. Cogent, clear, logical, and convincing. Deleterious, causing harm or damage. Innervate, to weaken or drain of energy. Equivocal, open to more than one interpretation. Ambiguous. Fastidious, very attentive to detail, difficult to please. Obfuscate, to make something unclear or confusing, especially deliberately. Tenuous, very weak or slight, lacking substance or strength. Recondite, difficult to understand, obscure, aesthetic, arcane. Capricious. Given to sudden and uncountable changes of mood or behavior. Unaccountable. Desiccate, to remove moisture from something, causing it to become dry. Ephemeral, lasting for a very short time. Hackneyed, lacking originality or flashiness because of overuse. Laconic, using very few words. Mollify, to calm or soothe someone, often by giving in to their demands. To calm or soothe someone, often by giving in to their demands. perfunctory, carried out with minimal effort or reflection, recalcitrant, resistant to authority or control, spurious, false or misleading, often appearing to be genuine, vituperate, bitter and abusive in speech or writing. European nations have taken a significant step forward in strengthening their diplomatic relationships through the launch of a comprehensive cultural exchange program. The initiative, which was formally announced at a ceremony in Brussels on Monday, aims to foster deeper understanding and cooperation among member states. The program, entitled Bridges Across Europe, has been developed over the past 18 months through extensive consultations with cultural ministries across the continent. It is designed to facilitate exchanges in the arts, education, and youth development, thereby creating lasting connections between citizens of different nations. Furthermore, the initiative will provide funding for up to 500 projects annually, ranging from collaborative art exhibitions to student exchange schemes. Officials believe that such cultural diplomacy can complement traditional political negotiations, creating a more robust foundation for international relations. According to diplomatic sources, the program represents a strategic effort to address recent challenges in European unity. By focusing on people-to-people connections rather than purely governmental interactions, organizers hope to build grassroots support for continued cooperation. The Belgian foreign minister, speaking at the launch event, emphasized that cultural exchange serves as a vital tool in modern diplomacy. When citizens understand each other's cultures and traditions, it becomes considerably easier for government to work together on complex political issues, she stated. Nonetheless, some critics have questioned whether the initiative will receive adequate long-term funding. The program's budget for the first year has been set at 50 million euros, but sustained investment will be required to ensure its success over the coming decade. Several participating countries have already begun implementing pilot projects under the new framework. Germany and France, for instance, are launching a joint museum initiative that will see collections from both nations travel between cities. Meanwhile, Nordic countries are establishing a network of youth ambassadors to promote regional understanding. The program's coordinators have stressed that participation remains open to all European nations, regardless of their political alignment or economic status. This inclusive approach is intended to strengthen diplomatic ties across the entire continent, not merely among traditional allies. Experts in international relations have welcomed the initiative, noting that cultural diplomacy has historically played an important role in resolving tensions and building lasting partnerships. Professor Helena Schmitz from the Institute of European Studies remarked that such programs create multiple channels of communication that prove invaluable during difficult political periods. Moreover, the initiative includes provisions for monitoring and evaluation, ensuring that taxpayer money is being used effectively. Annual reports will be published detailing the program's impact on bilateral relations and public perceptions of neighboring countries. As the European nations navigate an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape, initiatives like Bridges Across Europe demonstrated a commitment to maintaining strong diplomatic ties through innovative means. The program's success will ultimately depend on sustained political will and genuine engagement from participating countries. The architecture of human judgment in an uncertain world. In an era defined by ambiguity, human judgment is constantly tested by forces that are capricious, opaque, and often inscrutable. Inscrutable. Individuals seek certainty, yet reality unfolds in ways that are frequently erratic, compelling people to rely on heuristics that may be specious or untenable. This tension between the desire for coherence and the disorder of lived experience has shaped philosophical inquiry, economic theory, and psychological research alike. At the core of decision-making lies cognition, a system vulnerable to bias, fallibility, and myopia. Even well-intended actors may arrive at erroneous conclusions when confronted with convoluted information or equivocal evidence. What appears salient in the moment may later prove peripheral, while seemingly trivial details emerge as decisive. Such reversals highlight the contingent nature of judgment. Modern societies valorize Modern societies prioritize efficiency and expediency, often at the expense of reflection. Then haste can breed imprudence, leading institutions to adopt policies that are counterproductive or deleterious in the long term. History is replete with reforms introduced under the guise of progress that later revealed latent flaws, systemic risks, or pernicious incentives. One reason for this pattern is humanity's tendency toward dogmatic thinking. Once a narrative gains traction, it becomes entrenched, defended with zealotry, and insulated from critique. Dissenting voices are dismissed as heretical, naive, or subversive, even when their arguments are cogent and empirically grounded. Over time, such intellectual rigidity can render societies anachronistic, cling to outdated assumptions in a rapidly evolving world. Conversely, radical skepticism poses its own dangers. Excessive doubt may devolve into nihilism, eroding trust and fostering cynicism. When all claims are treated as equally dubious, collective action becomes invisible and moral responsibility is obfuscated. Thus, wisdom lies not in absolute certainty or relentless doubt, but in equilibrium. A posture of critical openness tempered by provisional commitment. Education at its best cultivates this balance. At its best. Rather than transmitting didactic doctrines, it encourages learners to grapple with paradox, incongruity, and complexity. Through exposure to diverse perspectives, students develop discernment, learning to differentiate between the plausible and the spurious, the nuanced and the reductionist. Such intellectual humility is indispensable in pluralistic societies. Language itself plays a pivotal role in shaping judgment. Words can illuminate, but they can also obfuscate. Political rhetoric, for instance, often relies on euphemism, hyperbole, or equivocation to advance agendas that might otherwise appear reprehensible. By framing issues in emotional charged terms, speakers exploit affects, bypassing rational scrutiny and eliciting visceral reaction. Technological advancement has amplified this dynamic. Algorithms curate information streams, reinforcing confirmation bias and creating echo chambers that magnify polarization. While digital platforms promise connectivity, they frequently engender alienation, replacing genuine dialogue with performative outrage. In such an environment, truth becomes malleable, subordinated to virality and spectacle. It has often been assumed that freedom of speech, oral or written, is independent of freedom of thought, and that you cannot take the latter away in any way. since it goes on inside of mind where it cannot be got at. No idea could be more mistaken. If ideas when aroused cannot be communicated, they either fade away or become wrapped or morbid. Although we give lip service to the idea of child rearing as the most important task of society, practically everyone associated with it, teachers, daycare workers, and the stay-at-home mother, is denied the prestige and paid to do it right. The increase in divorce, remarriage, and step relationships adds to the confusion and creates more complications in child rearing. My political ideal is democracy. Everyone should be respected as an individual, but no one idolized. It is an irony of fate that I should have been showered with so much uncalled for and unmerited admiration and esteem. Perhaps this adoration springs from the unfulfilled wish of the multitude to comprehend the few ideas which I with my weak powers have advanced. The most important task of life is to preserve what is left of civilization, and out of this to build something nearly to our heart's desire. Education is of small value if it cannot help us in the most important of all tasks. That we can state its purpose is 1,000 definitions does not alter the fact that it has a supreme purpose, and that all the other definitions depend on it. Books can take us out of ourselves. None of us has had enough personal experience to know other people, or indeed himself thoroughly. We all feel lonely in this vast, irresponsive world. We suffer because of it. We are shocked by the injustice of the world and the hardships of life. But from books we learn that others greater men than we have suffered and have thought as we have. The question of chemical residues on the food we eat is a hotly debated issue. The existence of such residue is either played down by the industry as unimportant or is flatly denied. Simultaneously, there is a strong tendency to brand as fanatics or cultists who as fanatics or cultists all who are so perverse as to demand that their food be free of insect poisons. In all this cloud of controversy, what are the actual facts? In all this cloud of controversy, what are the actual facts? If our original assumption is true and human nature has in fact remained fundamentally changeless throughout the historical period, then we should expect to find the contemporary world as full of superstitions as the world of the past. For superstitious beliefs and practices are the expressions of a certain state of mind, and if the state of mind exists, so ought the practices and beliefs. If our original assumption is true and human nature has in fact remained fundamentally unchangeless throughout the historical period, then we should expect to find the contemporary world as full of superstitions as the world of the past. For superstitious beliefs and practices are the expressions of certain states of mind, And if the state of mind and if the state of mind exists, so ought the practices and beliefs.